Hey everyone, Dave here. Look what I just picked up. This is a 1974 Honda TL125 Trials bike. I remember this thing when I was like 10 years old. A couple of guys in my neighborhood had these things and I just thought they were the coolest bikes. And you know, I always wanted one. They're hard to come by. You don't see them advertised very much. Guy was offering it on Marketplace like a year ago, and I've been working them ever since, and finally he relented and said, here, just come and get it then. And this thing, it's like a legitimate barn find. Unbelievable. This thing is what, 40 something, 48, it'll be 50 years old pretty soon. And I've seen a lot of these things for sale, but they're always missing stuff, missing the side covers. You know, the tanks are no good. It's just, they're always missing things. This thing was complete, unrestored, and everything is here. I can't believe it. This thing is awesome. 125 cc's. Got the original exhaust system. You never see that exhaust system. You know, they're stupid money. They're like $1,000 to get a used one. So everyone's just got a straight pipe with a big long muffler on it. This is the original exhaust. The only thing that I see that isn't original or is missing is, you know, there's usually a shifter linkage that moves that shifter closer to the peg. But this thing, like all of them, they just have a shifter right off the engine, which is fine. But this is the original seat. Oh my God. This is exactly how I remember it as a kid. So I just picked it up. It's running a little rough. Skipping and popping, and it won't idle. But it's a Honda, so I think I can just kind of go through it and get it running like new again. So let's take a closer look at it and see if we can't get this thing running a little better. But I got big plans for this bike. Eventually restore it. This is going to be fun. First I'm going to ride it. You know, before I restore it and have it spotless, then I'll be afraid to take it out in the woods. But I'm going to ride it for a while. You know, make some improvements. You know, the suspension, I'm sure, is, you know, those shocks got to go, I guess. I don't know if I can get new ones or not, but forks, I'm sure, are worn. But the tires, I'm told, are the original tires. I mean, I don't know if I can believe that. There's no dry rot in it. This thing was in a heated garage for the past 25 years. The original owner. The fork seals are dry, but that could be just because all the fluid is gone. But let's delve into a little bit and just see if we can give it a quick tune-up and get it running a little better. But I'm excited. This is a fun little toy. Okay, so here's the 1974 TL125. Just picked it up. Cleaned the carburetor out and started it up. I could not get a good steady idle. There was some popping coming from the exhaust and through the carburetor, and so I'm going to do a little more work to it, but I just wanted you to hear it before I do any more work to it. So that's what I got at this point. I'm going to go through and check the ignition and the timing chain and anything else I can think of and see if we can get it to run better than that. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to clean the points and check the points, make sure that's all set up properly. I don't have any history on this machine. So the points are under this cover. Alright, I don't want to bore you too much, but I went with some aggressive 220 grit paper. Then I followed that up with 800 grit paper and then finished it with 1500 grit paper. And now it's a nice flat, almost polished like surface. Alright, there's the finished product. Nice and smooth and flat and shiny. And so I'm going to use this temporarily, and eventually I'm going to order some new points. But that's better than we had. Alright, the next thing I want to do is I want to investigate, so I'm going to look underneath here. Okay, that comes off. And now we have the mechanical advance in here. Let's just make sure everything moves nice and freely and nothing's dirty in here. Also, I'm going to make note, I've got this little mark right here. And it looks like I have a little mark right here, so this is how this lined up in this kind of orientation. Everything seems to move freely. I'm not going to tamper too much in here. I don't think anything in here is an issue or a problem. Things seem to spring back. And everything looks good in there. So let's not tamper with that. Okay, before I put this on, we got this little felt here. I bet it kind of lubricates the cam. It's dry as can be. So let me see if I can soak it with some kind of oil so that it's lubricating things in here, so the points will ride on and off of this collar here. We don't want that getting dry, so we're going to lubricate this. Looks like it's making contact right here. So I think I'm going to put a little bit of oil on that. And I'm going to go a little Marvel Mystery Oil. Kind of let it soak in here. Like so. Let that soak in. Dry off the excess, and then that cam should stay nice and lubricated. Alright, so let me put this now back. Remember, I got this mark here, I got a mark over here, so we're going to get it in the ballpark, and then we're going to have to make some adjustments on that, I believe, at some point. So we're just going to set it in here right now gently, so we have adjustability in it, and then when we get it set up right where we want it, then we can lock it down with these screws. But I want to be able to move that. Yeah, I need to be able to do this. Alright, let me get the points. We'll put the points back in. Alright, there's a pretty good view of the points now. They're nice and polished and clean, making good contact. Prior to this cleaning, they were very dirty and pitted, and I don't know how much electricity was actually flowing through there. Possibly the coil wasn't really even being saturated. But that looks good, at least temporarily. Okay, now I want to set the gap on these points, and if you notice that this center, it's a cam, and I got a socket down here that I can turn the crank with, and you'll notice, see the cam, now the high part of the cam is over here. I want to get the high part of the cam underneath this leg right here. Which is right about there. All right. Well, it kind of wants to stop right there. So let me hold it there, and now I can turn this plate until I'm on the high part of the cam. Right about there. And that's where I want to set my gap of 14 thousandths at the highest point. So right now they're closed. You can use a flat bladed screwdriver in here to adjust it. So I got a feeler gauge, 14 thousandths. Let me put it in here. Alright, I think I'm good with that gap. So that's part of the adjustment. Now we got to get the timing right. Okay, so I got the gap right, which is also the dwell. Now we need to set it up so that it sparks at the right time. And the flywheel's in here, and we got markings on it that show top dead center, and also a firing mark, which is what we're interested in right now, is the firing mark. So we're going to set this thing up to put the mark right on the firing mark, and when it's right on the firing mark, we want these points to just be opening at that precise moment. Alright, so now I've got the gap on the points set. That would be the dwell setting. Now we've got to set the timing. We want this thing to fire at the precise time. And how we do that is I take off these two covers. This is the flywheel. I can turn the flywheel, and if I look in this little window here, there are markings on the window. There is a marking for T for timing when you're doing the timing chain and the valves, and there's an F mark for the firing. And so now we're interested in the firing. So let me zoom into that little window there. And now I'm going to turn the crank. And on that flywheel there's going to be markings, and we're looking for the F for the firing mark. There's a T for timing. And at the bottom of this hole, the teeth are grooved a little bit, so the actual mark that we're looking for is straight at the bottom of this hole. That's what we want to line up. There's T. And there is the F. See the F? So we got that line. So we want to line up the line, the firing line, with the bottom of the hole here, right here. So we've got it. And this is the point that we want the points to open. When the points open, that's when the plug fires. So now I've got it in the firing position, and now I'm going to set the timing up here at the points. Let me scan back out and show you what I've got going on with the points now. So now I've got my meter hooked up to a ground and the other end of the points here. So that when these points close, I've got my meter set on continuity with the beeper. So right when we get to this point, I want the points to open, so I want the continuity to open up at that moment. So now that I've got the crank in the correct position, now I can just turn the plate that these points are on, like this. And so now I want to turn it to where the points just open. Come on. Right there. Back. Move it. Right there is where the points just open. So let me lock that down. And I know they open because I lost continuity. And so the points just opened. And if I scroll back and look down on my mark, is right at the firing line. So now the ignition timing should be right on. I'm going to rotate this crank until I get back to the firing line, and as soon as I reach the firing line, this beeper in my continuity should stop. So let's try it again. Let's crank this around to the firing line and see if the beep stops. Okay, so here we are. Now we're looking for the firing line. There's the timing line. Actually, we got to go 2 rotations. There it is again. Alright, so we're off a little bit. We're off by just that much. So I'm going to tweak it. I'd like to get it perfect. There's the firing line. With contact, fire. Close points, fire. 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 Alright, that looks good to me. I'm going to lock it down right there. Alright, and let's just confirm that we do have spark. And we do. Okay, good. And the timing should be on, and the points are clean. We should have a stronger spark right at the right time. Alright, now I can assemble things and we'll give it a kick and see how it sounds. Now, I haven't touched any of the valve timing or anything. I don't know that that's a problem. We can visit that if it still doesn't seem to run right. But I'm just doing, first things first. Alright, let's get the tank on and we'll fire it up and see if it runs any better. Alright, let's fire this bad boy up now. We've got cleaned out the carburetor. I'm assuming there's good fresh gas in there, which I should probably put fresh gas in it. And clean the points, set the timing. Here we go. Try tweaking the carb a little bit as well. I'm going to put some fresh gasoline in it. There's very little gas in it, but I'll put some fresh stuff in there to see if that helps. Okay, here we are. Fresh gas in it. An ignition tune-up with cleaning the points, setting the timing, cleaning the carb. Better. Alright. Much better. Take it out for a personal spin now. Well, there it is. The first initial kind of semi-tune-up. Clean the carb. Did a few things, clean the points, set the timing, put some fresh gas in it, and it's running pretty good now. So I'm happy with it. That was my first little ride up and down the street, down the woods a little bit in the back, and it's running good. So I got big plans for this bike, so stay tuned for future videos. Until next time, thanks for watching.